Why aren't you losing weight? Assalamu alaikum. If you're in a plateau right now with your weight loss, maybe you were getting results before, but out of nowhere it slowed down, energy levels crash, your sleep's being affected, maybe you're feeling extra stressed at work, feeling busy, feeling jaded, feeling less motivated. Everything is crashing just like it's done every other time you've done a diet, and you just can't wait to binge when the diet's over, but then the diet, when is it going to be over because you hit a plateau and you're not even feeling good, all that stuff. This is something that happens very, very commonly when people don't understand how to optimize their metabolic health. Now, I have another video on how to optimize your metabolism which you can check out after this, but first off, you need to know what is the actual problem you're dealing with. Is it just the fact that your metabolism has slowed down, or is there something you're doing where you're not optimizing your energy or metabolism right now to where you don't need to do a reverse diet, or maybe it's just something quality of life wise where you can make some small adjustments to where you'll be able to see progress again very quickly without actually having to do a reverse diet. So today I'm going to be sharing a 10-step, 10-point checklist, which is a diagnostic tool that I use with my clients to actually improve this. So I have a slideshow, which I'm going to pull up in a sec, which is going to help you a lot, inshallah. And it's basically going to completely change the game for you and completely fix this problem. So let's dive into it, inshallah. So why aren't you losing weight? The metabolism / fat loss plateau / quality of life 10-step checklist. Now, this video is going to be very long and in-depth. I put a lot of work into it. So if you don't have time right now, save it for later. Block some time in your calendar. Share it with a friend at the end once you've gotten the results, the knowledge, all that stuff. Spread this knowledge. We're here to help each other in this ummah, and today I'm going to help you, inshallah. So pull out a piece of paper and a pen, take notes, and let's get started. So 10-point checklist. So the first thing that you want to look at, and I'm gonna go through the ideal variables. I'm gonna go through how to fix and diagnose stuff, right? So the first thing is or I'll just go through all 10 of them. You want to go through your step count, your calories, your macros, and how well you're sticking to your diet. You want to look at your results. You want to look at your energy levels. You want to look at your food cravings. You want to look at your sleep. You want to look at your libido. You want to look at your digestion from the foods you're eating. You want to look at your stress levels, and you want to look at your performance in the gym through progressive overload and kind of, are the numbers tracking up or not, right? When you look at this entire picture of all 10 of these steps, when you audit yourself based on these 10 points on the checklist, you can interpret the data between these 10 points together to extrapolate and figure out what is the most likely metabolic issue. And then if you have some theories, you could either just test them by testing stuff, or you could get a blood test. But I usually don't have people do blood tests because it isn't always necessary except for in very severe cases. In this video, I'm going to give you some solutions you can implement right away, inshallah, to start getting some results and immediately feeling better, fixing those energy levels, or starting to lose weight again, or at least to fix your metabolism if it is actually, your metabolism never breaks, but it becomes slowed down. So obviously we don't want to be trying to lose fat with a slowed metabolism, because then you have your foot on the brakes and accelerate at the same time. So you're kind of getting nowhere, even though you're putting in all this effort, pressing both down as hard as you can, flooring it, and then just burning yourself out, right? Both physiologically and psychologically. So today I want to fix all that for you, inshallah, by going into, again, this diagnostic tool that I use, again, with clients when they hit a plateau, because everybody hits plateaus, man. It's a normal part of this journey. So you need to know how to solve it instead of giving up. And that's why it's so important that the protocol you're following is sustainable and enjoyable. So we're going to talk about food cravings, energy, hunger is on there somewhere, or maybe have it lumped in with food cravings. But again, we want to kind of see how all these things are going to ensure that, we are hitting the control variable. So again, you want to make sure your step count is consistent, especially if you're prescribed a specific number of steps from your coach, or from me if you're a client of mine, right? And obviously you would have gone through this process with me on a one-to-one call, or with one of my coaches on a one-to-one call. So you already know this 10-step checklist. But if you're a future client, you're going to see that we do this when you hit a plateau, because you'll probably hit a plateau around the 20 to 30 pound mark, which is normal, right? Even though we're doing everything right. Some people don't, some people do, but again, it just depends. So everybody's different. So the next thing is you want to make sure you're actually sticking to your meal plan. And we're going to discuss that. Obviously a meal plan, I have a deep slide on this. A proper meal plan is going to prevent you from feeling cravings, hunger, energy issues, all that stuff. Because obviously it's going to include foods you like, all that good stuff. It's going to work. Results wise, this can vary from person to person, but we definitely want to see consistent results over time. And I'll dive deeper into this on the results slide. Energy levels should be good and consistent. So this is kind of more of a symptom, right, of any of these other things being off. If your sleep and your digestion are off, your energy is not going to be good. If your sleep and digestion are good, but your macros are off, then your energy is not going to be good, right? If your stress is high, even if everything else is good and you don't know how to handle that stress, that's also going to bring your energy down psychologically, right? So all these things kind of work in conjunction with each other. So they're not in any specific order. I'm just going to present them one by one though. But you do have to audit and look at this whole picture, as a whole, as opposed to looking at any one of these isolated variables, because any of these variables could be off. But again, you have to look at the whole picture, and usually it does come down to one or two variables, but it could be how these variables interact. So again, I'm going to go deep into that today. But yeah, you don't want to be having any significant food cravings, and we'll talk more about this later. You want to be, having a proper circadian rhythm where you have energy throughout the day, and you only get tired, at night once the sun has set, or shortly after that, right after Maghrib time, right after Isha time. And you want to get 7 hours a night of quality sleep. So we're going to talk about sleep quality as well. You want your libido to be solid, and I'll talk about what constitutes a solid libido, right? And you could just compare it to your teenage years. Your libido should be as good as it was when you were a teenager, if not better. I know that might sound like kind of far-fetched if you're like 50 and you're like, how can I as a 50-year-old have the same, sex drive that I did when I was 15? Well, if you optimize your metabolism, your metabolic health, and your hormones, then yes, you absolutely can. And you could be in your 50s and have an amazing, relationship in the bedroom with your partner, inshallah. Halal, of course. So if you're not married, get married as soon as you can, inshallah. But anyways, not to go on a tangent. Digestion, we don't want to have digestive issues, bloating. It's a huge one a lot of women deal with, but a lot of men as well. So we want to, obviously, and I'll talk about how, these digestive issues can affect your hormones and how your hormones and stress can affect your digestion, because they're always interrelated. We'll talk about stress, how to handle stress if you have a lot of stress, and we'll talk about progressive overload, which is how to actually give your body a proper stimulus to improve. So again, this is a very technical video, so I'm not necessarily expecting super high viewership, but if you're still here right now and you're actually going to listen, pay attention to this, and learn, you're probably a fairly technical person, or you just have a lot of urgency to solve this problem. So inshallah, today I'm going to deliver and go very deep in these 10 points. And of course, I have videos that go even deeper if needed. Again, most of you won't need me to go, at that level of depth, but again, I have specific videos on all this stuff. But yeah, so the goal is to get you to all these control metrics where your steps are consistent. You're sticking to your nutrition plan. It's easy for you to stick to. You're getting results. You have good energy. You don't have food cravings. You're getting good quality sleep. Your libido is amazing. Your digestion is perfect. Your stress is on point, and you're improving in the gym every single week, right? So my goal is to get you to 80% of that, 90% of that, 100% of that over the first couple weeks we're working together, or that you apply this protocol such that you're getting good results. And if you hit a plateau or any of these things fall off, my goal is to get you as close to 80, 90, 100% as possible, as soon as possible, to ensure that you're still in momentum towards positive success. So let's talk a little about step count first, okay? It's winter right now. So if you're already sedentary, you work in front of a desk 8+ hours a day, plus it's cold outside now, you're probably getting way less steps than you did, a couple months ago when you were getting results. So that could be the only reason you hit a plateau. And that's why I want to put that first, because you might be watching this like, oh man, is my metabolism broken? First off, your metabolism never breaks. It just gets slowed down and unoptimized. But like, if you are watching this right now and you're like, man, do I need to do this complex reverse dieting thing that Munir's talking about in his other video? Not necessarily. Look at your step count data. So open up your iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, you're a weirdo. No, I'm just kidding. But I have some friends who don't have iPhone, but most people I know, friends and clients, have iPhone. But again, I'm not here to debate that. I'm just here to say, if you don't have an iPhone, see if you have a step tracking app on your phone. If not, you're kind of out of luck. But most of you have an iPhone. So open up your iPhone right now, go to the health app, go to step count data, and look at the last week, and then look at the last couple weeks. Or you could look at the last month. Like whenever you hit a plateau, like let's say you hit a plateau a month ago, look at your steps from the last 30 days. And look at your steps to 30 days before that. Look at your steps to 30 days before that. And what you're going to find is you probably had a significant dip in steps. For instance, I had a client, and I actually mentioned him right here, right? Well, I'm not going to say his name because it's confidential, but like, this guy was getting a certain amount of steps and he was getting good results. And then out of nowhere, he hit a plateau and he kind of freaked out. He's like, oh man, it's broken. And I was like, no, it's not. Send me your step count data. Last 30 days, or I think we did a weekly report and audit on his step counts. And his step count had gone down by 50% when the weather got cold in his area, because now it's like snowing and all that stuff. So because his steps dropped down, alhamdulillah, he has an at-home treadmill, but I've had plenty of guys like buy, an under-the-desk treadmill so they can multitask their steps while they're working or whatever else. I have a lot of people who are getting at-home treadmills now that the weather's getting cold. So again, we were able to up his steps back to where it was, and he started getting results again. So many coaches might have easily said, oh no, his metabolism's crashed, got to fix it. But like, no, that's not the case. This guy shouldn't be in a metabolic crash because he's in a sustainable deficit, not anything too excessive, right? He's strength training properly. He's progressive overloading. His stress is staying the same. Everything else on the checklist was the same. The only thing that dropped was, again, his steps, because we audited that. Now, if it hadn't been his steps, then we would have to do a reverse diet then, because again, if everything on the list is still on point, yet you're still not getting results, that's the only time you have to do a reverse diet. But if it's something else, I would highly recommend that before you do a reverse diet, you fix one of those other things first, provided that you're not in like a ridiculously steep deficit, because that's going to be the best way to fix it. Okay, and we'll talk about that as well. I'm getting ahead of myself here, as I often do on my tangents, but so yeah, let me actually go through the slides. So that I skipped around the slide a little bit, got ahead of myself, but that's how we were able to fix it for this guy. Now he's getting results again, right? So again, if you're sedentary and it's cold, you're probably getting way less steps. So check that first before you start jumping all the other stuff on this list, because honestly, that could be the simple solution you need, and that might just be it, right? And if you need some accountability with that, then definitely hire a coach. And we're going to do an intake pretty soon, so stay posted on that, and I'll make some announcements at the end as well. All right, so NEAT, non-exercise activated thermogenesis. I'm going to explain why step count is important. Non-exercise activated thermogenesis is one of the biggest drivers of fat loss. So again, before you conclude your metabolism step, as I was saying, the plateau that you're experiencing right now could be due to a lack of movement, and the lack of energy levels and possibly even depression that you might be feeling right now is maybe a lack of sunlight exposure, fresh air, and time outside. I'll get you a link to my mental health checklist. I'll put it down below. And if you access this video through Instagram, I would have sent it to you in an Instagram message, but you could just, grab it in the description below on this YouTube video. But, or, I guess if you're watching on Facebook, I'll just send me a message or comment or something. I'll send it to you, but inshallah. So but this is really important because, when the weather's cold, especially if you're brown like me, or if you're from Africa and you have even darker skin than I do, or even if you're like Lebanese and you have fairly light skin but you're just getting less sun exposure, whatever you may be. But a lot of you guys who follow me are Pakistani because you guys see yourselves in me, which is awesome, and I appreciate that. And yes, I'm showing you that you could be Pakistani and be shredded while running a business, so boom boom, and so are my clients. But anyways, so again, the proof's in the pudding. We're showing you what's possible, so now it's time for you to get these results too. But the point being, you need sunlight, okay? Like if you're living in like New York or something and it's super cold and there's no sun, or you live in London or something and there's never any sun, you gotta be taking vitamin D, okay? Because you're not getting enough sunlight. And then even if it's snowing, you still got to go outside. And I cover this on my mental health checklist, which I'll get you access to as well, inshallah. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, get some time outside. It's going to help you with your mental health, and that's going to fix a lot of your energy levels and depression and mood issues that you may be experiencing. Because again, like even if you have clinical depression, like again, let's say you do everything right and you still have depression, then you know that you actually have clinical depression. But if you do everything right, you achieve success in your life, you get in great shape, you do all the things to optimize your energy, you're probably going to fix your depression. And only then, once you've fixed everything else, if you still have depression, that's where you might have clinical depression. But the thing is, like, if you're not getting sun, your body's not going to produce serotonin. If you're not in momentum and winning in your life, your body's not going to have as much dopamine. And guess what happens if you don't have enough serotonin or dopamine? You feel depressed, which is part of why people give you serotonin, like psychiatrists, to try to fix your depression. When what if you could just produce natural serotonin by optimizing your nutrition, optimizing your sleep, optimizing potentially your supplementation, like 5-HTP, although, I'm not here to give medical advice. I'm just saying there's a lot of alternatives to having to be on like depression meds if you fix all these other things, right? And a lot of times people are just depressed because they're not happy with their life. They're not happy with their body. They're not happy with their work-life balance. They're not sleeping enough. A lot of things you can fix. Anyways, we're here to talk about step count, but I'll dive into other stuff as well. But point is, if you used to get more sunlight a couple months ago and now you're not, and your energy levels have gone down, the two could be related. So start trying to get some outside time and also looking to take in vitamin D, right? And then again, the plateau with the fat loss could be due to a lack of movement. Okay, so again, I'll send over this it's a different 11-point checklist actually, which is pretty awesome, and this will help a lot, inshallah. And then I already told the story of my client who hit a plateau, but then once we fixed his step count, he started getting results again. All right, cool. So the next point we want to look at is your calories, your macros, and how well you're sticking to it. Okay, so like let's say that you hit a plateau and your energy levels have dipped. How well are you sticking to your meal plan, and how sustainable is your meal plan? Like if you're on a meal plan that you literally can't stick to, then like is it any wonder why you're not getting the results, right? Because you're not even sticking to it. So like actually I've had plenty of people and they come to me and they're like, hey, I'm doing this crazy intermittent fasting thing and I'm good for 3-4 days, but then I binge like crazy and I offset it all. Okay, why are you doing intermittent fasting? It's obviously not working. Not only are your energy levels poor during the day, but you're also just binging and ruining your progress. So what's the point? So the point is, let's fix that by getting you on a proper meal plan. So again, the closer you can follow your meal plan to 100%, the better. But the meal plan needs to be good enough that you can easily stick to it, meaning the food needs to taste good. You need to have a good rotation of a couple foods that you like, depending on how picky you are. But obviously, it needs to hit the right macros, such that we're optimizing your energy, such that we're optimizing fat loss, such that we're also optimizing for that sustainability and enjoyability, and also preventing hunger and cravings. Because like, if you're getting hungry all the time, you might need to up your food volume or up I can never say this word, satiety index. There we go. Satiation/satiety index of the foods you're eating. So potentially adding more veggies and fiber, potentially upping the carb portions. I mean, it depends on a lot of things, so I can't give you a general recommendation because like, if you're already eating like 80 grams of carbs per serving, we can't really go and up in carbs. But if you're only eating like 30 grams of carbs per serving, yeah, you can up that to 40 or 50, and you probably won't have any negative effects if you're lifting and you're doing your steps, right? So super important that we work on that as well. And we're not on, again, an overly restrictive plan, okay? And same with meal timing, which I cover that in the other checklist, but in this one, I'll just cover it in the adherence to the meal plan side of things. But yeah, like, your meals should be timed to optimize your energy levels and consequently your performance in the gym, your non-exercise activated thermogenesis, and therefore your fat loss, and also to a degree your metabolism, your metabolic rate, and keeping that upregulated as opposed to downregulated. So I know I'm throwing a lot of terms out, but if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. Always happy to answer comments here on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching this. Because if you ask a question, probably other people have that question too, which means it gives me the opportunity to add value to all you guys by answering your questions. So feel free to ask questions, inshallah. All right. Or to just rewatch that part if I talk too fast, because I know I talk really fast. All right. Sustainable, enjoyable, prevent hunger and cravings. So we'll kind of cover that in a sec. But again, if your steps and your sleep are dialed in, you hit a plateau, this is what we want to look at next. Okay. So again, all these things kind of jump around. Like I know sleep is later in the checklist, but we want to look at that too. Because let's say you had poor sleep and you're like, oh no, my energy levels suck today. Yeah, it's because you got 4 hours of sleep. It's because you got 5 hours of sleep. My energy sucks too if I got 5 hours of sleep. So it's important that you get that sleep. And if you're like, a doctor who has to work overnight shifts or like, crazy on calls and all that stuff, or you're like a dentist, I get it. It's hard. Doctors definitely have it the worst, but there's ways to work around this. And sometimes you got to accept that you're going to have some days of messed up sleep and poor energy, but we want to dial this in as best we can and establish a better work-life balance if possible. Some doctors, alhamdulillah, have a 9 to 5, so it's a lot easier to get your results if that's the case. But like if you're working crazy on calls and stuff, you just got to be ready to work and you got to be ready to problem solve and you got to be ready for it to take a little bit longer for us to optimize your schedule. So like if you're watching this right now, you're a doctor, you're thinking about working with me. If you're working 9 to 5, super easy results. Like if you're a 9 to 5 doctor. If you're a doctor who has crazy on calls or under overnight shifts and stuff like that, we can and will still get you results, but you're going to need to be patient and communicate extremely well with us so we can slowly optimize over time. Because if you just vanish, obviously you're not going to get results. So again, important boundaries to set if you decide you want to be a client to ensure that you see success, because the last thing I want to do is take your money and not have you get results, because then I feel bad. I want to make sure I'm doing business with integrity and giving you value that is in not just in proportion to the money that you've given me, but infinitely more valuable. Like I want you to get 10 times the value out of my program than what you even paid for it. And in order for me to do that, because obviously the program's expensive, we obviously want to make sure that you're getting crazy benefit as far as the fat loss, energy, lifestyle optimization, and all the benefits that has in your life, on your family, your business, or your career, etc., inshallah. But anyway, so back to macros, me and my tangents. So we want to look at that, right? Have you been going off the plan? Have you been eating inflammatory foods, which we'll cover in the digestion portion? Are you over or underdoing the calories? If you underdo the calories because you think you're going to get more results, no, you're crashing your metabolism, energy levels, and non-exercise activated thermogenesis, aka step count, walking, the amount of calories your brain burns, because your body goes into metabolic downregulation, metabolic adaptation, or starvation mode as bodybuilders call it. And so we don't want that either, right? Or are you overdoing the calories to where you're not even in a deficit to where you're not going to lose fat, right? So these are the things we want to look at. Or are you messing up the macros? Maybe you're eating the right amount of calories, but you're not getting enough protein, or you're getting too many fats. That could also cause some issues. Now, if you're following it 80% and you're like 20% off, that could work. But ideally, I want the meal plan to include all the foods and flavors you like, including like any snacks or late night sweet cravings that you want. We satisfy all those things to ensure that you're hitting the right macros while satisfying yourself, food volume, hunger-wise, energy-wise, taste-wise, so that you're obviously getting good results. So sometimes adjustments need to be made to your meal plan to ensure that you're getting results. Okay, cool. Speaking of results, let's talk about results. So typically, if you have a lot of weight to lose, like 30, 40, 50 pounds, you'll probably lose like 7 to 10 pounds in the first week just from like losing water weight, because we do obviously put you on a pretty low inflammation diet, which is amazing because your energy levels improve within the first couple of days, probably within the first day, honestly, which is amazing. Alhamdulillah. But from there, we then, once we've lost that initial water, we lose about 2 to 3 pounds a week, but everybody's different, right? And if you have less to lose, let's say you only have 10 pounds to lose, you're probably only going to lose like 1 pound a week. But again, that's 10 weeks to get a 6-pack, which is pretty freaking awesome, right? Or sometimes guys will lose weight faster. Like Morshed on my testimonial library, one of my Hall of Famers, got a 6-pack in 10 weeks, lost 10 pounds in his first 4 weeks, and he was only 160. So like, mashallah, right? Pretty amazing stuff. So again, usually though, if you only have like 10, 20, 25, maybe up to 30 pounds to lose, you'll lose about 1 pound or 2 a week. But again, it depends on the person. Depends on a lot of factors, so everybody's different. So just be patient with the process. And again, if we're following a protocol you can stick to long term, the timing's pretty flexible. Like it really doesn't matter. Like I always say, lose up to 20 to 30 pounds the next 90 days, which is again a pretty typical result we'll see if you look at my testimonials. But some people take them up to 6 months to get that result, especially those, primarily those who don't have that much to lose. So guess what? Like, just look at my testimonials and make your assumptions about what is possible for you from there. And again, you got to put in the work and you got to be able to get the results. So like, if you're coming in here and you're not going to communicate with me so I can solve these problems for you on this checklist throughout the time we're working together, then there's really no point. So again, just wanted to make sure that we are being clear about that, because Like, I put out this content for 2 reasons. I want to help this ummah get fit, and I want to get more great clients who are actually going to come in and like communicate, right? Because, most of our clients are very, very good about this. So alhamdulillah, I love working with clients who communicate, who do a really good job. And that is most of you. But I still want to help people who aren't the best with communication, which is why I'm making this point, so that if you're watching this right now and you're somebody who's not that good about communication, or maybe you're one of my clients who's already working with me, but you're not that good about communication, where you're taking longer than 24 hours to get back to me when I reach out to you, time that up so I can help you better. Okay. So most of you, I'm just, I'm preaching to the choir here. Like, most of you guys don't really care, or like aren't really going to be in a position where you're like, oh, I'm going to hire a coach and not communicate and vanish. But, I need you to plug in, because if you communicate with me within 24 hours of every time I reach out to you, which again, you can expect to hear back from me very quickly whenever you reach out to me, like usually within an hour, guess what? You're going to get really, really good results, because I can fix all these things for you to ensure that you're getting results every single step of the way, because it's a science, as you're seeing today. All right. So typically, so this is the typical results. So again, this is the next point on the checklist that we want to look at, is, are we getting results consistently? It's not even the number of results we're getting. It's, are you getting consistent results? Like, I have some people who they're gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time. So qualitatively, their physique looks very good and different every single week, but quantitatively, they're losing less than a pound a week. But even though they're losing less than a pound a week, they look better every single week, because they're gaining muscle at the same time. Especially a lot of newbies, or people who haven't done things properly in the past, where now you're getting this newbie gains effect, or muscle memory effect. It's crazy how much you'll recomp and lose like a ton of fat while gaining a ton of muscle at the same time, which I'm jealous of y'all, because at my level, you got to kind of choose one or the other when you're more advanced. All right, energy levels. Are your energy levels good and consistent? And if not, what time of day do you get a dip? Okay. So that's where we need to kind of look at like meal timing a little bit. And obviously we'll talk about sleep, because no matter how dialed in you are with everything else, if you don't sleep enough, you're not going to have energy, right? And then that requires some time management, right? So as an adult, you need to develop some time management skills. Instead of just kind of letting your day run you, you got to learn how to run your day, right? Are you running your day, or are you letting your day run you? Because if your day runs you, you're not getting enough sleep, because your time management sucks. But if you get good at time management, you'll crush it. And that's something we help you with as well inside the program, inshallah. Timing. So your meal timing. Obviously, if we eat all of our calories in one meal, you're going to get super tired after that meal, and you're not going to have much energy throughout the rest of the day, except for when you're like starving and you feel this ravenous hunger and energy, which quickly goes away once your body realizes it has no fuel to feed off of, right? We don't want that. That's why I hate intermittent fasting, because for most people it doesn't work, except for those who are genetically blessed with being able to get good results on it, right? Because IF would be the easiest thing. Like if I didn't have to spend time making breakfast and eat in the morning, and I still had good energy all day, I just wouldn't eat till nighttime, and I'd eat one giant meal, no problem. But the problem is, it doesn't work like that for 90% of people. 90% of people, including myself, need a steady stream of nutrients to optimize protein synthesis for muscle growth, recovery, performance, to optimize energy levels, to optimize fat loss, consequently, to optimize performance at work. But it depends on what you're eating. Because also, let's say that you front load all your calories and you have 100 grams of carbs for breakfast with like 100 grams of protein, and then you're so bloated that you can't even function. That's also not going to work, and you'll get an energy crash from that high volume of carbs. It also depends on what type of carbs, simple carbs or complex carbs. If you drink tea with 10 cubes of sugar in it, you're going to get a huge energy spike and then a huge energy crash as your blood sugar crashes, versus if you do even like, a whole cup of oatmeal or 2 cups of oatmeal, which is a lot, by the way. Like, I only do half a cup of oatmeal, between half a cup to 1 cup, depending if I'm training that day or not, and it's very filling. So like, yeah, if you did 2 cups of oatmeal, you would get bloated. But your blood sugar would be very consistent, because oatmeal is like the best carb for the morning, and it also makes you more insulin sensitive and changes how you process carbs later in the day, alhamdulillah. So it's very good for diabetics as well, if you or anybody falls in that category. So that's the energy levels part, right? So we'll talk about all this other stuff, but we need to be able to adjust, and optimize every holistic variable around each other to ensure that we're optimizing energy. So energy is a symptom that one of these other variables are off, okay? Or psychology could be off, or we need to optimize mindset, get you motivated and excited about life again, give you a vision to aspire to. These are also things psychologically, after you've dialed in the biological and physiological component. It could be psychological as well, but if you're watching this right now and you've plateaued in your fitness results, even though you're trying your best, then it's probably more of a physiological thing than a psychological thing. Okay, cool. So, but yeah, and then as far as energy, and we'll talk about this in the sleep component, you should have energy all day. Like, obviously, if you wake up a little sleepy, that's fine. But if you got a good night's sleep, within 15 minutes of waking up, you should have energy. Or maybe you'll get energy as soon as you wake up. Or maybe you wake up a little bit before your alarm with energy. That actually happens to me a lot nowadays, alhamdulillah. And again, it's all the will of Allah, but what Allah has led me to do with my free will and through the knowledge that He's put in my path and opportunities He's put in my path is to learn how to eat and optimize and sleep in a way that sets me up to wake up often before my alarm with energy. And also Allah has just blessed me with that particular thing, and maybe he's blessed with you with it as well. Sometimes you might wake up in the middle of the night because Allah wants you to pray tahajjud, like legit. And even if you don't wake up in the middle of the night, you should set your alarm like 30 minutes before Fajr so that you can pray tahajjud, because I'm telling you, tahajjud makes such a difference. Just have to, put that da'wah in there, even though this is about fitness. And I'm going to give a little bit more Islamic advice, not from a sheikh perspective, because I'm not a sheikh, I'm just a coach, but based on what works for myself and clients when we get to the stress component, because being dialed in with your deen is just important for the sake of Allah regardless, but it also helps you with your stress. So, and with your rizq, your blessings, everything, alhamdulillah. So anyways, so yeah, you should wake up with energy, have energy throughout the whole day, and then after Isha, or even after Maghrib, like whenever the sun gets dark, that's when you should start to get tired, and your melatonin, your sleep hormone, comes up a little bit. That's a proper circadian rhythm. If you get a slight dip in energy midday, if you're bulking, which most of you are not bulking, like 80 to 90% of people come to me to lose fat, 10 to 20% come to me to lose muscle, or to gain muscle, not lose muscle at any given point. So if you're in a calorie deficit, you should have energy all day if you're in a proper meal plan and a proper moderate sustainable calorie deficit, as opposed to a crash diet deficit where you're going to be tired all day. So if you're tired all day on a deficit, you might have your calories too low, because if all other variables are dialed. But if you're in a calorie surplus, even if all the variables are dialed, you might get tired just from the high food volume and the high intensity of training while bulking. So, but again, like I said, energy levels are kind of a symptom of the problem in one of the other points in this checklist. Okay, cool. So food cravings. All right. Sorry, I know this video is very heavy and technical. Let's see how much time we're at, because I actually want to see 25 minutes already. All right, cool. I'm going to try to make this under an hour, inshallah. Hopefully 45 minutes. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, you can look down and you'll see how long it's supposed to be. But I'm going to do like a short Instagram version of this. But anyways, so food cravings. So obviously in our programs, what we do is we do a once a week cheat meal / refeed protocol to ensure that we don't get any significant degree of metabolic downregulation. And we also set up the meal plan such that any minor cravings during the week can just be satisfied by healthy recipes. So if you crave shawarma midweek, doesn't mean you have to go eat a giant plate of oily shawarma from a restaurant. You can make homemade shawarma that's low fat, high protein, and you can even make a shawarma sandwich or like shawarma with fries and keep the carbs in proportion to the protein and keep the fats in proportion where we need it. And I always advocate for a 40-40-20 split. So 40% of your calories from carbs, 40% of your calories from protein, 20% from fats. Just remember, fats have 9 calories per gram, carbs and proteins only have 4. So for every 50 grams of protein that I put in each meal, because I try to get 50 grams of protein per meal, and I often do that for client, at least for men. For women, I usually go like 35, sometimes 50 if they have a big appetite, but usually smaller, right? Like 35 to 40. But for every 50 grams of protein, I do 40 to 50 grams of carbs and 15 grams of fat. I do not want to exceed 15 grams of fat because that can cause issues, okay? Speaking of issues, there is somebody making noise outside, so if you hear a gardener, bear with it, because this info is worth it, even if the background noise is not perfect. But hopefully you can't hear it because I have a good mic here. But anyways, you might hear it faintly. Anyways, all right, food craving. So we want to satisfy that with healthy recipes as opposed to eating a bunch of junk food. But let's say you're still craving like a super junky, oily, sugary meal, and the healthy recipes 90% satisfy it, but you're still just craving that giant energy crash and your favorite gyros from your favorite place, or your favorite, oily biryani as opposed to my lean biryani, which my lean biryani actually tastes freaking amazing. So you probably won't have that issue. But let's say you want to just eat some oily biryani, or maybe you're going to like your family's house and your grandma made the oiliest, sugariest foods and you don't want to say no. Time your cheat meal with that, and then guess what? It's actually going to benefit you and boost your metabolism through a hormone called leptin. Okay, and I think we talk about leptin a little bit later in this video. I mean, if not, I could just talk about it. Actually, I think I do talk about it later, but basically, so when you're on a deficit for an extended period of time, your leptin levels go down, which is a satiation hormone. So that's why it's important that we're eating high volume foods, because that'll keep your leptin high during the week as opposed to starving yourself. That's why another reason why I hate intermittent fasting. Like fasting, okay, I'm going to explain. This is going to be really interesting. Fasting is an act of ibadah. Our Prophet ﷺ recommended that for a young man who has a high sex drive, well, he didn't necessarily say high sex drive, but all young men tend to have a high sex drive, and we'll talk about libido as well later. But for a man who cannot afford to get married yet, the Prophet ﷺ recommends fasting. Why? Because fasting suppresses your libido for most people. Why does fasting suppress your libido? Because your leptin levels crash. When your leptin levels crash, it downregulates production of thyroid hormone and of sex hormones, including testosterone, which is a super important hormone as a man if you want to have a healthy libido and you want to have energy, right? So that's the thing. I use fasting as an act of ibadah because fasting is for the sake of Allah, but I will never use fasting as a fitness strategy because it wrecks my hormones, it wrecks my metabolism. I'm very sensitive to it. So again, the only time I'll fast is, Ramadan, Ashura, Arafah. That's it. It's an act of ibadah, but it's not a good fitness strategy in my opinion. Now, again, there are some people who do respond well to fasting. Like 90% of people don't, but there are 10% of people. Like I have 5 clients out of the 57 clients or however much it was last time I checked the roster that we're working with right now. And 5 of them are on some sort of a fasting protocol. Some are doing fast on certain days. Some of them are doing Mondays and Thursdays. Some are doing, I have one guy who's doing intermittent fasting, but for the most part, fasting is not a good long-term fitness protocol. And I know a lot of people who have come to me who lost a little bit of weight fasting, but they couldn't sustain it, or they hit a huge plateau and feel like absolute junk. Their energy levels are terrible. Their libido's crashed, everything. Even their digestion's messed up, their stress, their recovery, their performance in the gym, everything is wrecked. Everything on this list is wrecked as a result of fasting for like months on end. And even the Prophet ﷺ, there's a man who came to him and who would fast all day and pray all night, and the Prophet ﷺ told him, so this, if you don't want to take Munir's word for it, take the word of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, which is, the man came to him, and there's a proper hadith on this. I'm just telling a story, but you can actually Google this hadith, like search up the body has rights over you hadith, and from there, so he was fasting all day, praying at the masjid all night. So the Prophet ﷺ told him that your body has rights over you. Don't fast every day. Don't spend every night praying. You need to have some nights where you sleep. You need to have some days where you eat during the day. Your family has rights over you. Don't just be at the masjid all day, every day. It's great that you're spending time at the masjid, but spend some time with your family as well, because your body has rights over you. Yourself has rights over you. Your family has rights over you. Your guest has rights over you. And obviously, above all that, Allah has rights over you. So that doesn't mean like obviously you need to make your 5 daily salat like non-negotiable. You got to fast during Ramadan. But if you fast all year long, it's going to wreck your health. It's going to wreck your body. Even the Prophet ﷺ, who would fast on Mondays and Thursdays, practiced moderation when it came to fasting. And of course, we have the Sha'ban fast and all the other fasts, right? But like, you know, other than that, fasting is not going to be ideal for your results. And the reason is leptin. So that's why the cheat meal is amazing, because it tops off your leptin levels, which upregulates your sex hormones, and it upregulates your metabolism such that your metabolism stays fast and you keep getting results long term. So if you're a client right now and you're scared of the cheat meals I have you doing and you're kind of babying them, you could just do a refeed, because a lot of my clients, they get to a place where they don't enjoy eating unhealthy foods because they get so optimized with their energy from eating clean, optimizing digestion, that the idea of eating something that doesn't digest well sounds super unappealing. So you could cheat clean. I usually do sushi for my cheat meal. I used to do Middle Eastern food for my cheat meal, but it's just too oily the way that most of these restaurants make it. So I'll only do Middle Eastern food for like a special occasion, or my grandma's food if there's like a special event at the house or whatever. But for the most part, for my cheat meals, what I do is sushi, because it's pretty clean. It doesn't make me bloated. Gives me a lot of good energy and recovery. And so likewise, I have some clients who will just up the quantities of whatever healthy meals I have them on, because it still tastes good. And they just do that for their weekly refeed. And again, a refeed accomplishes the same purpose of topping off your leptin levels, or you can just do a cheat meal. And most clients, they come in wanting to do cheat meals because like, oh, you're gonna let me eat whatever I want for one meal once a week. That sounds great. Some people even come in and they need to do 2 cheat meals, although 2 cheat meals starts to get to the territory where the high calories from the cheat meal could offset the deficit we have during the week. So be careful with that, unless you need that to baby step yourself into better habits. And right now you're doing cheat meals like 30 times a week. Like you're eating like 10 meals a day. All of them are cheat meals. Then yeah, if you just bring it down to, you know, half of that, and you do one cheat meal every day instead of 5 or 3, then you will get results. So it depends on the person, right? All of this is nuanced to the person. So somebody comes in, they're an uncle who's never done anything before. I can just get them walking like 1,000 steps a day and eating 1 less cheat meal a day, and they'll lose weight, right? But most people come in, they've been trying to get results on their own for a while, and so we help them get results. So that's kind of how this works. So you'll know where you stand, and once we talk and we have a personal consultation and onboarding call, we'll be able to set that all up for you, inshallah. All right, sweet. So anyways, let me see actually how much time I'm at, because again, I'm going a lot of tangents. Well, whatever. You guys, if you're still here right now, you love it. Hopefully you're listening to this while you're in the car or something, multitasking, so that you're learning. Well, actually, no. Hopefully you're listening to this and you're actually taking notes. That's the ideal scenario, but maybe you're listening to this in the car. Maybe you're listening to this while you're walking. Maybe you're listening to this at the gym. Wherever you are, you're listening to this. I want you to pay attention, take notes, pull out your notepad if you're in the gym. You know, obviously, if you're driving, drive safe and take notes later. But note down what you're learning, comment your questions. I want you to gain value from this. If you're investing the time and attention into this, I want you to get a return on that investment by getting some results just from learning this stuff alone. And then obviously later down the road, or even now, if you're already ready to roll right now, we could potentially work together if you want to get more details of the program. I'll attach a link below this YouTube video as well, or you could just shoot me a DM or comment below it on Facebook or wherever you're finding it if you want some more info on the program, inshallah. But anyway, so yeah, that's what we do. So you're already going to have like pretty good satiation and satisfaction from the meals during the week. And then we do a weekly cheat meal or refeed. Okay. And that makes it super easy. Now, if that's not the case and you're getting hunger or cravings during the week, then we absolutely need to modulate other aspects. So could be the meal plan itself, could be the seasonings we're using, the quantities of food, as I kind of alluded to earlier. We need to make sure these cravings aren't happening. And I'll go through some common ones in a sec, but sleep can also make you crave, certain foods. And sleep can also negatively impact your decision making. So be careful with that. Sleep is super important. I don't care if you work, 100 hours a week. I still get my guys who work 80 to 100 hours a week to sleep 7-8 hours. Well, not 8 hours a night, but 7 hours a night, or at least 6. But if you're sleeping under 6, I mean, look, I'm not trying to compromise here. Go for 7. 7's the best. And if you get 8, even better, right? 8 quality hours. And we'll talk about sleep quality in a sec. But very important, because sleep negatively, if you don't get enough sleep, literally, and I have this on the mental health checklist, if you don't get enough sleep, it literally makes you depressed. If you're depressed and you're not sleeping enough and you're on serotonin drugs right now, SSRIs, then guess what? If you fixed your sleep, it could solve the problem for you to where you wouldn't have to pay the psychiatrist and line the psychiatrist's pockets who keeps telling you you're freaking depressed. And instead of listening to this quote unquote mental health professional who just wants to make money off you, you could actually learn how to optimize yourself. So anyways, but then there's obviously people who dial everything in. They still have depression, so then you're clinically depressed. But most people who dial everything in with their life, with their fitness, with everything, it's going to solve the depression, inshallah. And I'm fairly firm on that, but I do acknowledge that there are some people who have everything dialed in. They're successful, they're fit, their health is optimized, and they still have depression. That's when you have clinical depression. It's kind of not a lot of guys actually ask me this, but I've had guys ask me, should I get on testosterone replacement therapy? I'm like, okay, cool. How much do you sleep per night? What's your diet look like? Do you work out? And everything is in shambles. And I'm like, well, dude, if you just try to mask this with TRT, then you're just going to ruin your health, because TRT has side effects, just like how SSRIs, serotonin drugs, any psychiatric drug, any drug you take is going to have side effects. Same with guys that come in and say, oh no, I have high cholesterol, but I'm taking statins, no problem. Well, guess what? It's going to cause some issues as well. Every drug has side effects. Real foods, medicine, vitamins, well, not medicine, but real food is medicine. Food, vitamins, sleep, lifting. Honestly, if you eat the right diet, you won't even have to take vitamins unless you have a blood test deficiency, right? So natural cures are always better than synthetic cures, okay? People want to take melatonin to sleep. What if you could optimize your natural circadian rhythm so your body naturally produce proper melatonin, so you didn't have to take these drugs, supplements, exogenous hormones, and substances, okay? Food is medicine. Let your food be thy medicine. So anyways, the point is, I got on this tangent somehow, but yeah, so so I'm not trying to say depression doesn't exist, because I know it's controversial. I'm just trying to say that a lot of depression can be treated by fixing your life and your body and your health instead, and your deen. Getting dialed in with my deen fixed my depression. I used to be super depressed 13 years ago. I had very bad depression problems when I was a teenager because I was unhappy with my life. I was a loser. I was socially stifled. I didn't like my body. I had a belly and skinny arms. I wasn't making money. I wasn't successful. I wasn't charismatic or confident, and I didn't know how to fight. So I worked on all those things, and it fixed a lot of it. But the last piece I needed to do once I'd fixed everything else in my life was I had to get dialed in with my deen, and that was the final piece that completed me, so to speak, this year. And so alhamdulillah, life's all about growth, expansion, improvement, the right mindset. So it's always something I'm still working on. It's not like I don't go through depression. I felt a little depressed yesterday because I was going through some stuff, and because the night before I got 5 hours of sleep, which was my bad with time management, right? So even I screw up sometimes. I'm not sitting here from a high mountaintop saying, I'm perfect, you got to be like me. I'm coming here saying, hey, because I'm imperfect, I've experienced everything you're dealing with right now, and I know the solutions because I've solved it myself. So anyways, just wanted to make sure that I got that message across to you guys. I'm not downplaying or invalidating anybody's depression. I'm just saying there are natural cures to where you don't have to take drugs to fix your problems when you can fix it through what I'm teaching you today. But again, always consult a doctor or health professional who has your best interest in mind. Not somebody who's just going to push pills on you, but somebody who actually cares, who's actually going to fix your problems, who's an expert in that field. Just like how you're here to seek fitness from me. If you need mental health, go to a proper counselor. Don't go to a psychiatrist because they're biased, because the way they make money is by putting you on drugs. So they're going to advocate for drugs as opposed to a natural cure. That's just my stance on it. No offense if you're a psychiatrist, and if you're one of the good ones. I met a doctor, actually. Sorry for the tangents. Just fast forward my tangents if you hate them. But if you're here, you'd probably like them. So I met a doctor who worked with diabetics, right? And before putting them on drugs, he would always ask them about their diet, and he would fix their diet first before putting them on drugs. I met this doctor, and mashallah, I shook his hand so hard because, and if you're watching this right now, you know who you are. You're Pakistani. You're a fan of Denzel Washington. And yes, that alone will tell you exactly what you need to know, and you already know who you are. So, and we had this conversation. And so, that's the type of doctor that more doctors need to be in. I know a lot of doctors watch my stuff, so if you're that type of doctor too, may Allah bless you for doing honest work. Now, if you're the type of person who knows that you can solve root causes, but instead you push drugs because you have pressure from big pharma to do that to your patients, I get it. You're trying to provide for your family. You feel a moral, sort of sense of being at odds because morally you want to provide for your family, but morally you want to give people real cures and solutions instead of surface level stuff. And there's some people who are so lazy they'll never fix their root causes to where it is ethical to give those people some sort of surface level treatment, but you have to at least try to convince them to fix their thing first. Like, I'm out here trying to convince Muslims to eat healthy every single day. Why? Because of course it feeds into my content, but 97% of people who watch my content, like if I have 37 or 38,000 followers on Instagram, something like that, and I have 57 clients. So the vast majority of people who watch my stuff don't necessarily sign up. Well, 57 active clients. I've had hundreds of clients over the years, but let's say I've had 1,000 or 2,000 clients over the years. I still have like 38 times as many followers. So that means that 37 for every one person who signs up, there's 37 people who are learning for free. So I put out this content to give you free value, but also to attract clients. But the point is, I'm trying to push the real solution, not just freaking make money by pushing something that's a surface level, band-aid slap. We're trying to solve the root cause here for the benefit of people who watch my stuff for free and for the benefit of people who want to invest in themselves and who have the means to invest in themselves. So that's important too. But anyways, all right, tangents on tangents. Sorry, I had a lot of caffeine before this, but I promise this will be worth it if it isn't already, but I'm sure it is because I've already given you a lot of value. And I might even attach the slides, like a link to the slides below, just so you can kind of go through it at a faster pace. But anyways, sorry for my tangents. Hopefully they are entertaining. So minor cravings every week. Well, okay. And then, yeah, so like the point is, get your sleep dialed in, get your meal plan dialed in. So yeah, I'll give you some common examples. So I get a lot of people who have sweets cravings at night. You want to know who else has sweets cravings at night? Me. So how do I solve it? Well, alhamdulillah, I don't do well on milk. Milk causes digestive issues. But it's not all dairy because Greek yogurt, I'm fine with it. So I do Greek yogurt at night. 30 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbs. Perfect nighttime snack, perfect nightcap. Gives my body slow digesting protein to work on at night so my muscles are recovering, metabolism staying optimized, all that stuff. So I have 2 Oikos 000 Greek yogurts every single night that I have a sweets craving. If I don't have a sweets craving, then I won't have it. But if I do have that craving, I'll have it, and so it supports my goals. So likewise, I have a lot of clients doing the same thing. For some, their appetite's smaller, so they'll do 1. For some, their appetite's bigger, so they'll do 2. I don't have anybody who's doing 3 Greek yogurts, but if I had somebody who I could fit that into a meal plan, I would. So all you need is somebody to work out the geography of your meal plan to fix this, and this is what we do with clients. We ongoing adjust your meal plan until it works perfectly for you, and then whenever you hit a plateau or you face any issues or whatever, we fix those issues too, and that's where our clients get great results as long as they show up and communicate. So those are some common examples. Okay, let's talk about sleep. You've been waiting for this one. All right, so you should wake up energized or feel energized within 15 minutes of waking up. After hydrating, of course, so you usually you should drink 2 cups of water within 15 minutes of waking up before eating anything and before having caffeine, okay? Then have your caffeine. Like, have your water before your caffeine, just because you want to hydrate yourself before you dehydrate yourself with caffeine. And there's also a couple other reasons why it'll help you optimize your energy, but getting hydrated alone is enough to really boost your energy within 15 minutes of waking up. And by that 15-minute mark, you should be energized if you got enough sleep, which is usually 7 hours for most people, okay? So I set my alarm for 4:45, and I either wake up, sometimes I wake up as early as like 3:30, like before my alarm, and I try to go back to sleep, but sometimes I'll just stay up if I got into bed early enough, and it's beautiful because then I have a huge morning to myself to like work on stuff, pray tahajjud, do whatever I need to do, right? Well, nobody's there to interrupt me. It's beautiful. But usually I wake up about 15 to 45 minutes before the alarm with a ton of energy, or if my alarm wakes me up, ironically, I'm a little tired, especially if I got to bed late, but within 15 minutes of waking up, I still have energy once I've hydrated, and this is before I've had my coffee. Then I have my coffee, and all of a sudden I get excited for my day, and guess what? Back when I used to be depressed, and I used to sleep in and all that stuff, like, of course I was depressed because I would sleep in, which further reinforced my depression, which further reinforced my lack of productivity, which further reinforced my lack of success because it made me less successful because I was less productive, and so it just made me more depressed. And then I would stay up later because I was depressed watching YouTube trying to escape from my life because I wasn't happy, and then it was just a negative feedback loop. That's why a lot of people are depressed. That's why, like, as somebody who has been depressed, who's been to therapists, who's been to a lot of stuff to try to fix it, and this has been the solution that fixed it for me, and also as somebody who has successfully gotten other people out of depression, I know that a lot of the mental health stuff is just down to your lifestyle and your physical health. I'm telling you. Andrew Dean, we'll talk about that too. But and only rare cases of people actually have like a proper clinical issue, because again, your serotonin and dopamine levels are going to be low if you're not crushing it in life and you're not dialed in with your health. So if you start crushing it in life and dial in your health, it'll solve your depression if that's the root cause, which it is for most people. So even if you have a chemical imbalance, it could be solved just through natural means, and only in rare cases where you start crushing it in life and optimize your health, you still depressed, then you're actually clinically depressed and you need a drug. That's the only case where people need drugs. So, and if you're watching this right now, you're self-improvement oriented, so you're looking to actually improve this. But anyway, so have energy within 15 minutes. Okay, boom, boom, boom. And then I usually have a single cup of coffee, go to the masjid, pray fajr, and then after that I go in my car, Have my get to the gym parking lot first, have my pre-workout once I'm parked, because I don't want to be like buzzing on pre-workout when I'm waiting for a parking spot. That's the most frustrating feeling. And then once I've had my pre-workout, if I haven't finished my breakfast already, then I'll finish it then. So I'll bring my oatmeal with me. And then from there, I go crush my workout, and my whole day is awesome after that, alhamdulillah. And I have crushed productivity from there. If it's a non-gym day, I'll do my caffeine at home, I'll pray Fajr at home, and then I'll get into my deep work straight away. Like today, I've been doing deep work since like 6 a.m., and it's 11:38. I've gotten a ton done today, alhamdulillah. So the other thing is you need to make sure you get 7 hours of sleep per night. So like some people need more, some people need less, but general recommendations, you need about 7 hours of sleep. So I've had some clients who are absolute freaks. You only need 4 hours of sleep and they crush it. In fact, a good friend of mine who's also a trainer, his name is Omar. And Omar is an absolute specimen of a man. This guy is one of the most shredded human beings I've ever seen in my life, and he's strong and he's jacked. And this is like without taking anything either, mashallah. And subhanallah, he typically only needs like 4 to 6 hours of sleep a night. Like this guy can go to sleep, get 4 hours of sleep, wake up, crush his first workout of the day, crush his nutrition, crush his work all day, crushes the father all day, and then work out a second time at night. And this guy's just like, he's a freak of nature, mashallah. And he works hard. So it's not like he's just a freak of nature and he's being lazy and whatever. No, he works out like twice a day. And does he have to work out twice a day? No. Is it optimal for most people to work out twice a day? No. Like if I did that, I'd overtrain in a second. But for him, he's a freak of nature. He can sleep 4 hours a night and train twice a day and still recover. And he also eats like a beast, right? And like not like dirty, like he eats clean, but he eats a lot of food. He puts in the work, and mashallah, and he's pious and he's very sincere, and he's got a lot of Quran memorized. And when you listen to this brother recite Quran, it's one of the most beautiful things you ever heard in your life. So if you're watching this right now, Omar, if you made it this far in this video, I love you, bro, and thank you for being an amazing inspiration, amazing friend, and may Allah bless you and give you everything that your heart desires. Ameen. But anyway, so Omar is an example of somebody who can sleep 4 hours a night. I've had a handful of other clients who could also do that, but it's very rare. Okay. Most people, they need a lot more. I've even had clients who need 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. I actually had a very successful businessman, and this guy, mashallah, he'd gotten so good with time management that even though he's a father and running a ton of businesses and had a huge empire, he'd created enough systems and efficiencies in his life and in his business that he could sleep 8, 9, sometimes even 10 to 12 hours a night, and he was fine. And the other weird thing about this guy was most people, I find that cable chest flies are easier on their shoulders. For him, he actually preferred dumbbell flies because cable flies hurt his shoulders versus dumbbells didn't, which, again, everybody's unique and different. So because we're all unique and different, general recommendations like what I'm giving you today are helpful, but most people need something that's specific and tailored for them, or at least a lot of people do. It's been my experience. So anyways, all right, so you need that much sleep. You should have energy without caffeine. Caffeine should just add to your energy as opposed to being a requirement. So you could also be addicted to caffeine, and I have a protocol to come off caffeine. Just comment or send me a DM, and I'm happy to fix that or help you fix that and kind of share some ideas with you on how to fix that, inshallah. Okay. So additionally, how's your sleep quality? Are you getting solid dreams, right? Like, do you dream every night, which means you're getting REM sleep, which is important, that deep sleep? Or are you waking up throughout the night and sleeping shallowly? Using an eye mask can help, and actually in the mental health resource document that I've attached below, inshallah, there's a link to this amazing video by one of my mentors, Alex Hormozi, that teaches you how to optimize your sleep. I send this to all my clients. It is absolutely a game changer. You're just going to change your life, inshallah. It's very jam-packed, just like my videos, but it's got less tangents. So if you want more like cut straight to the chase, check him out, and it's in the document. All right. Now, the other thing I want to mention is, how caffeine and sleep relate. Don't have caffeine after 10 a.m. Have all your caffeine before 10 a.m. because caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours, which means that 25% of it's still in your bloodstream 12 hours later. So if you have 200 milligrams of caffeine at 10 a.m., you still have 50 milligrams of caffeine in your bloodstream 12 hours later at 10 p.m. So it's no wonder that you can't sleep if you're pounding caffeine at like 4 p.m. Now, some people are freaks of nature as well, and they can sleep actually, my dad can drink coffee at night and he can go straight to sleep, but he's lucky. Very few people are like that, although ironically, there's a lot of Pakistanis and Middle Easterns who are like that. My dad's Algerian, but I also know a lot of Pakistanis who are able to sleep straight after having caffeine. But if that's not you, and you're getting insomnia and poor quality sleep, or even if that's you and you can sleep, but it's not the best quality sleep, try cutting out your caffeine at 10 a.m. and you'll be pleasantly surprised. And I got that from the Alex Hormozi video that is linked in the document as well. So check out that document, the link below as well, because it's going to be helpful for you both for that video and intrinsically as well. Okay, let's talk about libido. So you should have a solid libido to satisfy your partner, and you should want to have sex every day, multiple times a day. Now, do you have time to have sex that often? Hopefully. I mean, if you put your kids to bed after Isha, you should have one-to-one time with your spouse to do that. But again, depends on the person, but you should have a solid libido and sex drive. Okay, if you don't, it's a symptom of a psychological or physiological issue. Now, if this is a chronic issue that you had even as an adolescent, even when you were a teenager, you didn't have a sex drive, it is most likely psychological. I mean, you could go to an endocrinologist, get a blood test, but if it's like trauma related or whatever else it may be, might be best to seek a mental health practitioner and professional. But if you had a good libido in your adolescence, but your libido issues have kicked in possibly even in your late 20s, more so in your 30s and 40s. And it correlates with the increased amount of stress that you have at this age and with the fact that you've done a bunch of low-calorie diets in the past. Your sex hormones are probably downregulated. So again, like I said before, when you go on a low-calorie diet and you get food cravings, lethargy, etc., and especially the food cravings and hunger aspect, so when you starve yourself, basically, your leptin levels crash, okay? And so that downregulates your thyroid and sex hormone production, like I talked about before. And when you're chronically stressed, cortisol goes up chronically, which also downregulates thyroid hormone and sex hormone production because your body's in a state of stress, not in a state of reproduction. And so your body's trying to survive, not thrive. And if you're constantly, so that's why stress, the cortisol, can mess up your libido. And that's why the low-calorie diets can mess up your libido. Now, if you're constantly bloated and you get digestion issues, either when you're stressed or from the foods you're eating or both, and you're chronically bloated, this could also be because you're not getting enough fiber. So you need to make sure you're getting enough fiber. You need to make sure you're not consuming foods that chronically bloat you, and you need to make sure you're managing your stress, because if you don't, and you're bloated, you're stressed, you're eating junk food, you're not eating fiber and all that stuff, and you're always bloated all the time, then your body is not properly flushing estrogen, which is negatively going to impact your testosterone as a man, but also as a woman, and your thyroid production. It's going to increase your cortisol because you've got so much bloat and systemic inflammation, and the combination of all these things is going to mess up a woman's progesterone to estrogen ratio, which is very important, because if your estrogen is too high relative to progesterone, you get hormonal weight gain and will struggle with weight loss, and you'll get mood swings, all the other crap as well. And if you're a man, your androgen to estrogen ratio gets messed up, which can cause hair loss, depression, bloating, man boobs, libido issues, all kinds of terrible stuff that you never want as a man. Basically, like, I'm not going to say it turns you into a woman, but it makes you less manly and less masculine, which includes being softer and having, man boobs, and, you'll get a belly as well from the cortisol and the estrogen a little bit. You'll gain a lot of fat. It's just the worst thing you could have as a man, in my opinion, one of the worst things. So make sure that you're taking care of this as well. Okay. And then that leads into digestion. So we want to minimize any kind of digestive issues. So if your digestion isn't optimal, you get, so first off, bloating and gassiness tend to be correlated with lethargy, which is how it affects energy levels. It also seems to be correlated with trouble losing weight. And obviously it tends to be correlated with libido issues, menstrual issues for women as well. I forgot to mention, this is all correlated with menstrual issues. So irregular painful periods, missing periods, whatever it may be, due to hormonal issues. And this can actually become heightened for women who are perimenopausal or post-menopause. I don't really work with any women post-menopause. I mean, I did have a female client, 63, who got incredible results, lost 30 pounds since January, and I think we got our last measurement in September once she'd lost her 30-pound goal. So it took her 9 months to lose 30 pounds at age 63, subhanAllah. So if you're like 53 or 43 and you're making excuses, this lady, if you were 43, she was 20 years old, an adult when you were born as a newborn baby. So stop making excuses that you're 43, you're too old. This lady's 63. Okay, cool. So, mashallah, right? So digestion, right? If you're not getting good digestion, we want to fix that. So we want to audit what are the foods that are making you bloated, gassy, lethargic, right? So like, if I do too much gluten, or if I drink milk, or if soy wrecks me. Never, like, okay. So for those who know who Dr. Ids is on like Instagram, TikTok, I actually am a big fan of his content, but sometimes he goes so deep in the books that he ignores potent anecdotal evidence. So when it comes to like soy, what I've found is, for me, I have soy, I almost immediately get lumps under my nipples and I start to develop man boobs. I'm very sensitive to it. There are also some people who can take soy. Like I have a friend, he's vegan or plant-based, so he'll occasionally do meat, but mostly plant-based, and he eats a ton of soy, no problems, he's shredded, right? I also know another coach who, one of my past chief marketing officer, CMO, is also his CMO, and this guy's like a vegan trainer. This guy's like shredded to the gills. My CMO swears that he's not on steroids, even though he looks like he is, like kind of, like he's not like giant, but he's very shredded, like more so than you would think would be possible naturally, and he's vegan, and so is his partner. And so like, so it makes you wonder, okay, great. Well, so some people can respond well to soy, but others don't. So maybe test it on yourself, but I would recommend if you're a man, don't test it. Now, if you're a woman, soy is fine. Like, it's not a big deal. But like, if you're a man, do not mess with soy, because if your effects are even 1% of the negative effects I've gotten from soy, it's going to wreck you. So, but yeah, evidence would point to different conclusions, but I tend to avoid soy. Now, I will have like miso soup, but I won't eat the little tofu chunks. I'll drink the miso soup and it has a little bit of soy, but that doesn't seem to affect me. But I remember I bought Synthesix protein powder one time, and I didn't realize it had soy in it, and I started using it because I didn't realize I had soy protein. After a while, I started getting man boobs, like after a couple weeks, and I was like, what the heck? And then I gave it to somebody else. Now, this individual who I gave it to, and this is like back when I was 20, so like 8 years ago, I gave it to a friend in college. This individual baked some cookies with it, and I had those cookies, and all of a sudden I started getting it again. I was like, what the heck? And the first time I noticed it was back when I was like 17 during Ramadan. I was eating Morning Star chicken nuggets, which are made from soy, in the morning. And I started to get man boobs. By the end of that Ramadan, I had man boobs. And I was like, what the heck? And so, I'm very sensitive to estrogen. Like when I was 19, I had high estrogen, had some man boobs as well. That just happened naturally. And also during puberty, I had man boobs. So like, I actually never talk about this. I should share this story a lot because I think a lot of guys can relate. But so what I did when I was 19 was I used broccoli to lower my estrogen. Now the problem is that broccoli makes me super gassy. So like broccoli is actually not a food that I eat anymore. Like I haven't had broccoli in years probably. Well, I guess trace amounts and like, I guess I'll have a little bit, but like I try to avoid broccoli because it makes me gassy and bloated. It messes up my digestion. I just genetically don't do well on it. Versus green beans are the best fiber source for me. Carrots are also a very good fiber source for me. Those are like my favorites. I'll occasionally have mixed veggies, but yeah, raw shredded carrots, especially on empty stomach. For 95% of people, no digestive issues. I did have one lady who would get constipated on it, so we had to use a different fiber source, but raw shredded carrots have a special fiber that flushes out excess estrogen from your body. But any kind of fiber that you use to improve your digestion, make yourself more regular, and also keep your water intake on point, so body weight divided by 2 in ounces per day. As long as your water and fiber are on point, it should improve a lot of digestion. But there's also some other root causes of digestion, so avoid foods that bloat you as well. But anyways, I used broccoli to fix my estrogen levels based on a blood test. My estrogen went down from like 51 to like 28 in like 3 weeks when I was 19, just from eating like a ton of broccoli every day, even though I got bloated. So kind of cool how that worked. And I noticed my physique looked better too when I did that. But anyways, so like just avoid foods that make you bloated, gassy, lethargic. So I always have people try cutting out gluten and dairy if they've never tried cutting it out before, then add them back in one by one. And you'll usually find you have way more energy and way less bloating when you first cut them out. And as you test adding them back in, you might find that some foods make you bloated. Like for me, milk versus yogurt does not. Greek yogurt, right? So I can do Greek yogurt all day long, but if I touch milk, I start to get problems. So it just depends on the person. Now, again, digestive issues could also be related to stress. So if you're chronically stressed, you're going to have knots in your stomach. You're not going to get that good of, digestion. If your sleep's messed up, it can also mess you up. So all these variables intertwine, and this checklist is a holistic diagnostic tool. None of these variables are meant to be looked at in isolation. And again, stress, any change in stress can negatively impact your sleep, digestion, nutrition choices. If you're stressed out all the time, you're going to make bad food choices. You're going to eat a bunch of junk food. You're going to crave junk and sugar and fast food and all that stuff, right? And also, if you're stressed, your performance and recovery in the gym might not be that good. You might be less active when you're stressed because you end up being more sedentary. It's definitely going to mess up your hormones, as I discussed on the libido slide. So we want to be careful with that. So make sure you get this mental health checklist. I'll put it in the description. And then make sure you have the right mental health routines and lifestyle. So I have that in the description. Make sure your meal prep's dialed in. Make sure your productivity is dialed in. But what I also want to remind you of is something Islamic here, which is very important because first off, no amount of money is worth the quality of your life, your mental health, all that stuff. Like I've had clients who had no work-life balance and we really had to scale back from work a little bit just so we could fix like their quality of life. And then guess what? You take 2 steps back, you take 6 steps forward. Now they're back in there crushing it, way more productive, making more money. But just remember, and the reason for that is the better you feel, the better you produce. But the other thing is I have some clients who have struggled with their prayers in the past because their time management wasn't good. So if you're struggling with your prayers at all, or you're missing prayers because of work for whatever reason, and your time management needs to improve, the reminder that's going to help you on an Islamic level is remember Allah, one of his 99 names is Al-Razaq, which means he's the provider of your risk, the money that you're making, the money you're working so hard to make. So if you're trying to boost your quality of life by making more money, but your quality of life is going to crap, then you got to reevaluate your priorities. Like, why? I know you worked so hard in this career, but like maybe you need to scale back slightly just to fix your quality of life so you have proper balance. Remember, all things in balance, right? But most importantly, like the money that you have, you're not going to take it to the grave. Look, I'm all about making money, man. Like I'm a businessman. I'm always trying to scale every single day, right? In an ethical way, of course. But the thing is, you got to honor Allah every single time. And, you should be going deeper in your prayers, not more shallow in your prayers as you become, more successful. Because the more successful you are, the more gratitude you have to give to Allah. So stop comparing yourself to other people and instead make the amount of money you need to make to provide the amazing life you want to provide for yourself and your family and give charity and all the stuff. And I'm all about making money. Don't get me wrong, but never let it come at the expense of your mental health, your quality of life, and most importantly, your deen, because Allah is the one who provides you that risk. Okay. So if you're messing up your energy, your quality of life, your mental health, and your deen to try to make more money, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's foolish because if you fix your mental health, your deen, your fitness, you're going to make more money. Okay. So stop having bad work-life balance as soon as you can and start fixing this. You got to reorder your priorities in life. Deen is the most important. Health is second most important. Money is third most important. Okay. But money is also important too, so you got to find a balance between all things. It doesn't mean that you just spend the entire day at the masjid and you don't work and you leave your family in poverty. No, you got to go make money and crush it in business, crush it in your career. Go dominate. Take all this energy you have from fixing your fitness and all the barakah you have from fixing your deen, and then go make even more money. That's what it's all about. It's all about growth and expansion. Then use that money for good. Wealth is a test, so use it for charity, right? But the point is, never neglect your salat, okay? Like even I mean, well, I'll talk about it in a sec, but just don't neglect your salat. Like, it's the most important thing. And I'm telling you right now, you pray 5 times a day, you're going to make more money. Like, guaranteed. Well, I can't say guaranteed because only Allah can guarantee something, but like 99% chance you pray 5 times a day. If you're not right now, you're going to make more money. Like, I've just seen it too many times. I've seen it in myself. And it doesn't mean that if you pray 5 times a day, you're going to make money, because you also have to have a high income skill. You got to be able to provide value to other people. You're not just going to have money rain out of the sky. Money is a byproduct of value. So you have to have valuable skills as a doctor or as a lawyer or as an accountant or as a personal coach, right? Whatever skill set that you bring to the table that Allah has blessed you with, you got to be able to provide that value to people. That's how you make money. But you also got to honor Allah, because Allah is Al-Razak, and He's the one who's going to connect you with opportunities. I could be a fitness coach with no opportunity, working at 24-hour fitness for like a super low wage, right? Or I could be celebrity trainer like I was in LA when I was living in LA, making $5,000 a month on each client, right? So it just depends on where you're at. Now, don't worry, I don't charge $5,000 a month right now for the online program, because obviously it's not like I had clients who I would live with them and cook for them too, who were paying me like a ton of money. But like, obviously it's still not cheap. So like, it's an expensive program, and it's because of the value I'm able to provide, and people pay me that value because they see that value, because I'm able to like I said earlier in this, if you work with me, I want you to get 10x the value that you've invested in me from the impact that this has on your family, your business, your career, your life, your energy, quality of life, quantity of life, your barakah, the amount that you can focus in your prayers, the amount that we fix and optimize your lifestyle, the quality connection you have with your family and the role model you set for them, everything. And the fact that we can stop you from being depressed and having diabetes if, again, your issue is lifestyle and health related, as I mentioned at length in this video. So point is, don't neglect your salat, don't neglect your deen, don't neglect your health. It's all about balance. So be balanced in these things. There's no point being a 10 in your money if you're a 1 everywhere else. You want to be an 8 at least everywhere, and if you're going to choose to be a 10 anywhere, make that your deen, okay? And that's what it's all about. But also, in the dunya, deen helps you with stress. So everything is Allah's control, right? The only thing you control is your free will and your decisions. So just do your best and leave the rest to Allah. And that's what, being connected with Allah reminds you of, is you can do your best. And if you truly did your best, but Allah didn't make it happen for you, no problem. It's in Allah's control. Trust His plan. So, but still do your best, because if you don't do your best and you blame it on qadr, then, that's on you because you didn't do your best, okay? Now, also remember, like, yes, ibadah are for the sake of Allah and for our akhirah, but they do have a benefit in the dunya. Like, for instance, when you practice khushoo and salat, which means where you understand the words you're saying, you're present, you pay attention, you're patient. And look, I'm not perfect with this, but I'm working on it every single day, thanks to the people I've surrounded myself with who give me these positive reminders. Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless them. And so likewise for you, surround yourself with people who remind you to focus in your salat, and watch how much, do it for Allah, but understand that you're going to get an ROI, an impact in the dunya, benefit in the dunya as well, because you're going to feel relaxed and energized. So again, learn the meaning of your prayer if you don't understand it yet, and I'm still in process of learning everything, but alhamdulillah, I've learned a lot, which definitely brings a lot of depth to your prayers. And be present and focused. Don't worry, your meeting isn't going anywhere. It only takes like 25% longer to focus in your salat as opposed to rushing it. So, okay, how long is 25% of your 4-minute prayer? 1 minute, okay? Take an extra minute for Allah and watch how much better your life is, as opposed to like saying, no, I need that minute to be on this meeting. You know what? Time management, that's the key. And I have a link to time management in the document in the mental health checklist as well to teach you how to do that. Okay, so got deep there for a sec. Let me just check how we are on time. I definitely, oh boy, it's over an hour. Okay, great. That's me. That's Mr. Tangent King. All right, so progressive overload. The final reason, last but not least, that you're hitting a plateau, which is the original topic of this video, why you're not losing weight, is because you're not progressive overloading. Either you're being lazy in the gym and you're not pushing yourself, or maybe your meal timing is off to where you don't have energy in the gym, right? So you need to make sure you have your pre-workout nutrition, that you're feeling optimized at the gym. Like, I have people who have their energy levels might be fine on intermittent fasting, but the performance in the gym sucks because they're not eating enough carbs before their workout to actually have performance. So we have to fix that. Versus I have some people who intermittent fast and they still have good endurance at the gym. Everybody's different, okay? But most people, they do well having a proper breakfast before the gym so they have energy, okay? If your macros are off, you're not getting enough protein, and so if you don't get enough carbs, you're not getting recovery and performance. If you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough recovery. So if your recovery sucks, you're not going to make progress in the gym, which means if you're not making progress and lifting heavier and heavier, more and more reps, more and more volume, shorter and shorter rest periods, you're not giving your body a progressively increasing stimulus, which means your body has zero stimulus to adapt, which means it's going to stop adapting, which is why you hit a plateau. If that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions on this. This is really important. So don't neglect this point. This point is equally important to all the other ones, okay? Well, other than the salat point. The salat point was the most important, but everything else is equally important, okay? The prayer is obviously the most important, though. And then, or maybe your workout program just sucks and you're not properly programmed. Maybe you think you're getting a good routine in the gym because you're getting a pump, you feel good afterwards, which is great, but maybe we need to use a proper progression to fix that and get you progressing. All these variables intertwine, so I'm going to elaborate. So the ultimate mindset that's going to fix this for you is high scores, okay? Whenever you're at the gym, go for a high score. Always challenge yourself in the gym to set a high score, whether that's, to do more weight, right? To do more reps, to do more volume, how many sets you're doing, to do shorter rest periods. Maybe you need to switch up the exercises once every 4 to 12 weeks instead of being ADD. This is very important. But you gotta challenge yourself in the gym. You gotta set those high scores. So if you did 100 for 10 last time, do 105 for 10. If you don't feel like going heavy that day, do 100 for 11. If you don't feel like going heavy or doing more endurance that day, do 2 sets of 10 with 100. So you see how in each of those examples, I either increase the sets from 1 to 2, I increase the reps from the weight from 100 to 105, or I increase the reps from 10 to 11. That's progressive overload. You have to set a high score every time. And you have to eat the proper nutrition post-workout and between workouts to ensure that you're recovering and growing and improving and giving your body a more progressive stimulus to respond to. Okay? So always challenge yourself in the gym. Eat to optimize performance and recovery. From there, if you eat in that way, your recovery is going to be good, your energy is going to be good, you're going to stimulate your muscles better and better every time, and you're going to get better and better results every single day. Positive upward spiral, positive compounding returns. And remember, the variables are if you want to improve your strength, increase the loads. If you feel strong that day, go a little heavier to set that high score. If you don't feel like going heavy, but you know you can do more reps that day, then focus on endurance, do more reps, and that's your stimulus and high score that day. If your strength and endurance feel like crap that day, then just do more sets so you're getting more volume in. And if everything feels like crap that day, then just do shorter rest periods to challenge yourself in some way. Now, every 4 to 12 weeks, you might hit a plateau, at least on some of your lifts. So you might have to switch up exercise selection. You might have to switch up the progression. Obviously, if you become a client in the future, we'll do this for you. But this is an important thing to note whether you're doing this with us or on your own, to always set personal records. Super important. When you're more advanced, you have to do things in 4 to 6 week waves. But again, don't be ADD. Like your main lifts generally need to stay the same, like squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, pull-ups, barbell rows. I don't do overhead press because I have shoulder issues from being an idiot in the past when I didn't used to warm up. So that's why I'm very adamant that all you guys warm up. But super important. And on your primary accessory lifts, you'll have a couple accessory lifts like dumbbell incline bench, dumbbell bench, one arm dumbbell rows, rear delt rows, right? Bicep curls. I have a couple primary accessory lifts that we do strength load as well. But then even for miscellaneous accessory lifts, you want to still try to hit personal records every time. Keep a note either in my app if you're a client or in a note on your phone or something or wherever on what was the amount you did last time, so you can always beat the high score. Super, super important that you're always beating high scores. And then that's basically it. So always hit that high score. Occasionally you need to rotate exercise, but don't be ADD. Stick to an exercise for 4 weeks at least of progression. Better yet, 6 to 12 weeks if you can, of just constant progression, constantly setting high scores. Once it's been 12 weeks, then maybe you can switch it up. Or if you're a newbie, sometimes you can progress for 6, 12, 24 months before you ever have to switch up exercises, which is great. If you get bored, just switch up the accessory lifts, but keep your main lift and your secondary lift the same until you hit a plateau for more than 2 to 4 weeks, even though everything else is dialed in. Then you want to switch it. But typically, or if you're advanced, every 4 to 6 weeks, but typically you want to really just, get those personal records every single time. That's the key to getting a progressive stimulus to force your body to adapt and grow and improve. Okay, so my slideshow seems to have frozen. Oh, no, that's it. Okay, this is the last slide. Pour conclure. So, conclusion. Use the above checklist as a diagnostic tool. Grab it from the first slide. Grab the mental health protocol below in the description, or if you're on Facebook, just comment and I'll send it to you, inshallah. And after going through both of those, inside of the mental health protocol, I do have a link to learn more info about our coaching program if you're interested in learning about how it works, results you can expect, see some testimonials from clients, as well as the financial info as far as how much fitness coaching typically costs and how much our specific tiers cost as well, if that's important to you as well. It's at the bottom of the page after you go through the testimonials and the program details so you have context. And then if you decide you want to book a consultation with me or a member of my team, bring the checklist to the call so that we can hit the ground running and we can hop in and help you with the diagnostic tool. And it'll help us again to hit the ground running because we'll know exactly what all your specific problems are with all of the 10 points above. And we'll be able to give you a much more specific solution much faster. And again, like I said, hit the ground running with your coaching program, inshallah, if you're somebody who books a consultation, you're interested in the coaching program. So again, appreciate you being here. Hope you gained a ton of value from this video. Please share with a friend or family member who needs help breaking through a plateau, fixing their energy levels, their health, whether it's metabolic, mental, whatever it may be. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to end this video now because I got stuff to do as well. Although this video is an important part of my to-do list today. So alhamdulillah, I was able to get it done. I hope it's valuable. Share, comment, whatever you need. Save it. Watch it multiple times. Study it. go take action, whatever you need to do to get as much value from this as possible. Like, I just appreciate you being here. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to get Buttercup by helping you. And inshallah, may Allah make this a successful journey for us all. Ameen. And inshallah, I'll see you in the next video. Please shoot me a DM or comment if you have any questions on anything. And inshallah, let's crush it. Assalamu alaikum.